In December of 2022, a severe winter storm disrupted air travel across the United States. While most airlines recovered within a few days, Southwest Airlines' scheduling and crew management systems failed to keep up. The airline canceled more than 15,000 flights and affected over 2 million passengers during the Christmas travel season. After the storm, cancellations increased rapidly, social media became flooded with complaints, and CEO Bob Jordan issued a public apology before operations gradually returned to normal.
So obviously the major stakeholder was Southwest Airlines, with the second major stakeholder being the passengers. However, the employees, social media, and the U.S. Department of Transportation all were additional stakeholders. After passengers were like basically stranded during the holiday season, and all the flights got canceled, and there really was nowhere to go from there, they took to social media as well as the employees, because the employees also had very little control over what was happening due to how unorganized Southwest was. And then that eventually led to a investigation done by the Department of Transportation.
Social media did not cause the Southwest crisis, but it seriously amplified it. Twitter became the primary real-time reporting platform. Thousands of customers posted photographs of baggage piles, screenshots of canceled flights, and stories about being stranded. Because Twitter allows rapid sharing and public replies, complaints spread much faster than Southwest's official messaging. TikTok and Instagram added a visual dimension. Videos showing crowded airport terminals, long service lines, and abandoned luggage made the crisis highly visible and emotionally compelling. These videos often received hundreds of thousands or millions of views. Reddit communities dedicated to Southwest Airlines and travel became hubs for information sharing. Passengers exchanged updates, discussed alternatives, and criticized the company's communication strategy. One major inflection point occurred when customers realized that competing airlines had largely recovered from the winter storm while Southwest continued canceling thousands of flights. Social media users began framing the issue not as a weather problem, but as a management and technology failure. Southwest's own social media presence initially struggled to keep pace with the customer complaints. The gap between customer-generated content and official company communication allowed negative narratives to dominate online discussions. As a result, public frustration intensified before the company delivered comprehensive explanations and apologies. Evidence of customers criticizing the lack of communication appeared across online communities, where users noted Southwest's social channels had become largely inactive while cancellations continued.
So between December 21st and December 31st, Southwest canceled more than 16,000 flights, which affected approximately 2 million passengers and cost them about $1 billion. And additionally, they reached a settlement with the Department of Transportation, which included $140 million in penalties and compensation requirements, which, by the way, is the largest consumer protection penalty ever issued against an airline by the agency. Furthermore, the public statements released by Southwest themselves actually supported the conclusion that aging technology contributed to the crisis, and this evidence actually shifted the discussion away from weather-related causes and more toward questions about Southwest's long-term investments in technology and operations.
Initially, Southwest Airlines attributed the disruptions primarily to severe winter weather. However, as social media users compared Southwest's performance with other airlines, many people found that explanation less convincing. On December 27th, CEO Bob Jordan released a public video apology acknowledging customer frustration and operational failures. The company later offered refunds and reimbursements for travel expenses, baggage recovery assistance, and 25,000 rapid rewards points to all affected customers. While these actions helped address customer concerns, many critics argued the response came too late. By the time Southwest publicly accepted responsibility, social media had already shaped a public opinion. As a result, the company's response was often viewed as reactive rather than proactive.
So although Winter Storm Elliott caused a lot of problems for all of the airlines, Southwest reported way more problems than its competitors, and this suggests that there was something else going on internally instead of externally. And reports actually following the crisis indicated that Southwest had been aware of the limitations of its scheduling systems. And if they had known about this and they still delayed the modernization efforts, that means that they prioritize cost savings over the reliability of their customers and the trust. And this obviously is legal technically, but it does raise a lot of ethical concerns about the organization's responsibility to anticipate like the foreseeable risks that they might take.
My biggest takeaway from this case is that organizations must communicate early, frequently, and transparently during a crisis. If customers are providing information faster than the company itself, the organization risks losing control of the narrative. My personal takeaway is that social media did not create this crisis. The airline's operational failures created the crisis. Social media simply exposed those failures instantly and publicly. The question I would leave with you is this: could Southwest have preserved more public trust if it had acknowledged its technological problems earlier instead of initially focusing on weather-related explanations?
So I think the most important lesson from this case is that the crisis communication cannot compensate for operational failures. And obviously, like as we were seeing that like trying to fix your public perception does not actually fix the underlying problems. And if you don't fix those problems first, then nothing is going to be solved. And one of my recommendations is that I think that a greater transparency should be required between the airlines and the customers, especially about the airline, their operational systems and their readiness protocols, because then it will be up to the customers to decide whether or not they want to risk taking this airline versus another airline based on what they have. And then my question is that if there was no social media and say the public didn't blow it up as much as they did, would Southwest have improved their systems since they technically already knew that there was a problem? So I wonder if, you know, this hadn't been a big thing and whether it wasn't blown up and whether they try to keep it a little hush hush and it wasn't a national crisis by the end of the day, like would they have still eventually improved their systems and how long would it have taken them to do it?